Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to yet another video from Exotic Astrology. Welcome back, everybody. So, what are we going to discuss today? Today, we are going to discuss one of my favorite topics. Okay, it is the Trikona. Trikona is these three houses, which is also called Dharma Trikona. Generally, Trikona means three houses. But here, when I say the first house, the fifth house, and the ninth house, they in general referred to as Dharma Trikona, or in short, these three are referred as Trikonas in general, but officially they are Dharma Trikona. The other Trikonas are 2, 6, 10. It is Artha Trikona, and then we have 3, 7, 11, which is referred as Kama Trikona, and we have 4, 8, 12, which is referred as Moksha Trikona. So Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. We will see detail what these are. Okay. So in general, when people say this is in trikon, that is in trikon, in general they mean the dharma trikon. So whenever somebody says that sun is placed in trikon, you can understand it actually is placed either in first house, fifth house, or ninth house. Okay. If the person says that sun is placed in artha trikon, then it might be in 2, 6, 10. Or if it is in moksha trikon, then it might be in 4, 8, 12. Or in kama trikon 3, 7, 11. But in general, when we refer to as trikon, we refer to them as the first house, fifth house, and the ninth house, which is actually dharma trikon because it represents dharma. Okay, so before we begin, as I always say, God is there with you all the time. Just look to Him and He will be there. Okay, so what is dharma trikon? What is the meaning of the word dharma? The word dharma has many meanings, many connotations. Out of them, one is dharma, one which upholds or withstands, yes, or one who holds, because the word dharana in Sanskrit means to hold together. Okay, so dharma means to hold, to support. Now, support what? Well, generally in the ancient Vedic context, when dharma is said that you should do your dharma, it has different meanings. Dharma also has the meaning of duty, but when I'm talking of something that holds, what is that it is holding? Just see what it is holding. It is holding this. Okay, they are holding these four houses. Just see, fifth house is here, the ninth house is here. Again, these are not sign numbers, these are actually representing the houses. Whenever I say ninth house, always go to this zone, this area, irrespective of the number which is written. Lagna, ascendant, first house. Fifth house is always this house. Even if number 1, 9, or 5 or 6 is written, this will always be the fifth house. Now, what is the fifth house and ninth house holding? It is holding the Kendra, the angular houses, as I had discussed in my earlier videos. It is holding this Kendra, the first house, the fourth house, the seventh house, first house, fourth house, seventh house, and the 10th house. And what did I say in the Kendra lecture? These four are the pillars of our life. First house is you, your body, yourself. Fourth house is your home, your luxuries, your land, property. Seventh house is your marriage, other people, spouse, partnerships, okay, business dealings. enemies in front of you, and 10th house is your work, career, your effort, your power, your focus. Okay, now so that means the first house, fifth house, and the ninth house are holding the Kendra. Yes, and first house is both simultaneously a Kendra and a Trikona, because 159 are Trikonas and 14710 are Kendras. Okay, now we will discuss what is the meaning of these houses. Okay, the first house generally, even if you take the context of Dharma Trikona. Okay, let us discuss why it is called Dharma Trikona first, or what is the meaning of the word Dharma. So here we saw the fifth and the ninth house upholds the Kendra. That means it is a support to the Kendra. That means what? If these two houses are weak, then the Kendra will collapse. You understand? If you remove the fifth house and you remove the ninth house, what do you get? This is the sixth house. This is the eighth house, right? And both sixth, eighth are called Dusthana houses, means trouble giving houses, right? We all know Dusthana houses. So that means sixth house is what? Troubles, lawsuits, litigations, enemies, deaths, diseases, etc. Eighth house is what? Sudden occurrences, controversies, scandals, hidden things, okay, accidents, death is seen from the eighth house. So that means if you do not have the fifth and the ninth house, the Kendra will go to 6 and 8. Yes, you understand? Just remove this. Then this whole thing shall become 8, and you remove this. This whole thing shall become 6. Then the Kendra will fall. Your whole life, your pillar of the horoscope will fall. That is why it is called Dharma Trikona. Because one which holds. And if you interpret it the other way, what it means, that if you want your Kendra to function properly, you must take care of the Trikona, the fifth and the ninth house. Otherwise, it will collapse. The entire Kendra will collapse. You will collapse. The first house, your home, fourth house will collapse. Seventh house of marriage will collapse. 10th house of work will also collapse. Now, what are these Dharma houses? Okay, Dharma has many connotations, as I said. In a broader sense, it also means religion. It also means your duties, what you are supposed to do. What is the Dharma of a student? It is to study. That does not mean the student cannot have fun or he cannot enjoy, but that should be between his limits. Yes, and that should be only till the point where it does not hamper his main duty. Okay, main duty is what? His prime dharma is to study. What is the dharma of a husband? To be committed to his wife. Yes, not to look at other women, which is very difficult these days. But by difficult, I mean that many people don't do that. Okay, many people break the codes of conduct, of morality, etc. And he should provide for the wife. Okay, whatever the wife needs, her uh, he should be available for her mentally, emotionally, physically. Okay, he should give her physical protection also, protect her from somebody is attacking her, he should protect her. Yes, that's the duty of a husband on a mundane sense. We will go to duties of husband later, what are ultimate duties, but this is on a mundane sense, right? Similarly, what is the duty of a wife? To support the man in whatever he is doing, to to support him in his endeavors, yes, to be a helping hand. Either you are being a housewife and you are taking care of his home so that he can peacefully work and get money and arrange the house, or you are working somewhere, or you are working with him, helping him financially. Both are growing together, irrespective of the scenario, and also to be committed to him. Yes. So these are the duties. What is the duty of a father? Is to give education to the children, give them food, clothing, shelter, etc. etc. Same is the duty of a mother, to give love, care, affection, etc. Yes. So every institution has its own responsibilities. The duty of a leader is to guide people, to set a good example, yes, himself. Only then people will follow you. So these are the definitions of duty for different groups of people, for different categories of people. Okay. So that is the one meaning of dharma, duty. Now these are duties on a mundane level. Mundane level, I mean, on a materialistic sense. You have a particular identity. As I always say, Atma is the concept of your identification to something. Atma does not always mean soul or spirit. Of course, on an ultimate level, it means that, because that should be our identification to God. But on a mundane sense, if I talk, it also means what you identify with. That is what is your Atma. They say, my heart and soul is there, it is here. Yes, I don't belong here, I don't feel good here. Okay. So, on a mundane sense, dharma means duty. Every individual has his or her own duties. Okay. Then, next, what does it mean on a higher level? Higher level, it means the ultimate duty. Yes. What is the ultimate duty? Ultimate duty of a soul, living entity, is to worship God and go close to Him. Okay. Worship God not for materialistic pursuits, to get a beautiful wife or to get a rich husband or to get name fame in the society, okay, or to gain power, position, authority, or to become beautiful, or to become more knowledgeable, or to become more attractive in any sense. Okay. Now it is okay to go to God for all those things, but on a higher level, we should approach God to go to Him. Not that we go to God and ask Him, oh God, please give me this, give me that. That can be done on a mundane sense. There's no problem with that. That is better than being an atheist. Okay, that's like level zero. Higher than that is, you offer your gratitude to God. He has given you so much. Yes, He has given you parents. Now you may say, but everybody has parents. No, my dear sir, everybody doesn't. There are people I know. I have friends who lost their father in their childhood. I know people who have lost their mother in the childhood. They gave, God gave you education through your parents, through your father's money, or mother was working or whatever. Ultimately, God is the provider. Yes, He gave you an income, a source of income. Of course, you may not be earning in millions, but at least you may be earning in thousands per month. Yes, or maybe in lakhs also, some of you, or maybe in millions. Some of you watching this video, maybe. There are people who are starving, not getting one single drop of water in so many countries of this world, but you are getting so much. Okay. So that's why you should offer your gratitude to God. And then higher than that is having a desire to do something for God, spreading His name, spreading his message, the message of the Holy Scriptures. Yes, message of the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Puranas, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Quran for the Muslims, the Torah for the Jews, Dharmapada for the Buddhists, and the Holy Bible for the Christians. So on an ultimate level, that has to be our goal. We will go on detail later what our ultimate goal should be, why it should be that. Anything other than that is likely to be giving us trouble. Okay, we will go to all those concepts later. But as of now, I am saying that dharma means duty. And what is your ultimate duty? Ultimate duty is to worship God and try to go close to Him. Okay, not that you want some material benedictions from Him, which you may get or you may not get. That is not my point. You will get it or not. That will depend on what you are doing, how you are doing. Okay, but the ultimate goal should be to go close to God, to obtain Him. Yes. Well, let me say a beautiful story here. Once there was a king who wanted to do charity. Okay, we all know what is charity, right? Charity is right. Charity means giving away your belongings voluntarily for inner peace or for benefit of the society. So this king one day he announced that tomorrow morning whoever comes to me and whatever they ask, I will directly say yes. I will not say no. Whatever they ask, I will give. So then what happened? These people went. Okay, all the people of his kingdom, they went and they started saying, one fellow said, I want this land, another fellow said, I want this home, another fellow said, I want that girl. Okay. Another fellow said, I want this, I want that. And at the end the king was completely done with all the charity. And he fulfilled everybody's wishes. Okay, and then at the end there was a sage who is technically referred as a Brahmin in Indian culture, a saint, a sage. The saint word comes from the word Santa, which is also from the Vedic tradition. And Sant word comes from the word Shant, which means peaceful. So a saint is always peaceful. He cannot be agitated. Of course, we'll discuss in detail later what a saint is, how he should be. What are his ideal traits, how he should actually be, how will you know he is actually a saint or he is a fraud. Okay, anyway, that is a subject for some other day. So this saint came to the king and said, my dear king, I don't want anything from you. Then the king said, then why did you come? Then the sage said, I want you as my friend. And then the king was very happy. The king said, oh, nobody asked my friendship, nobody asked me. Everybody likes my belongings, my riches, my wealth, my luxuries, but nobody likes me. I'm so lonely, I'm so alone in this kingdom. But you are the person who has asked me. Okay, so I will completely give myself to you. And then what happened? This sage became very happy. He was an intelligent sage actually. So then what happened? This sage went and before leaving the kingdom, he said, so, my dear king, next month, on this very same day, the next month, you will have to come to my home for dinner. lunch, dinner, whatever you say, snacks, brunch, some meal. And then the king said, okay, very good, I will go. Whatever you cook, I will eat. Then he said, okay, fantastic, my dear friend. Because now the king had become his friend. So he said, yes, my dear friend, please come next month. And as soon as the minister got this news, minister is the person who is in charge of management and making decisions at times. He's like the order executor of the king. So as soon as the minister he came to know that oh the great king is going next month to the home of this sage. Who knows what this sage has? What he will feed him? Because sages are generally very poor. They don't have much riches, luxuries, wealth. They're very simple lives, simple home, and they may be married or they may be celibates. Irrespective of that, so what happened? The minister had sent one team to inspect his house, and then they went to his home, and then they saw there was nothing. There was no furniture. There was no place to sit. And then they said that, "What will you feed to the king when he comes?" He said, "Oh, I have just some rice. I will just boil it, and I will just put some salt and sugar and maybe some curd. I will mix if I get, and then I will feed him." And then the soldiers were terribly concerned. And then they rushed to the minister and said, my dear minister, that's a big problem. The king is going. But this fellow doesn't have anything to offer him. Neither he has a bed, neither he has a cushion, nothing. Neither he has something to eat. And then the minister said, but the king is going. This cannot happen. Okay, so we have to rebuild his home. We have to make it suitable for the king to visit. And you send cooks to his home, so that they will cook the best of the dishes. The all the funding will come from the palace, all the food, riches, everything, because the king is going now. Wherever the king goes, he has to behave like a king there, or he has to be able to act that way. Yes. So for that, the situations have to be arranged. For example, if the prime minister of India or U.S. president, the great Donald Trump, he decides to go to a village somewhere, suppose a village in Germany, a place called Göttingen. So then what will happen? 1 2 months before only the US Army will come, they will inspect, they will see if there is a proper place to stay or not. If there is nothing, they will build some home there. Yes. So similarly, the same thing happened with this king. The next day, the unit came and they made a big building, palace actually. And then they sent cooks and then they made all arrangements. And then the king came, and the sage was so happy that everything this minister did. And then he ordered the king, the chefs, that okay, make this, make that, make sushi, make paneer butter masala, make tandoori chicken, make chow mein, make tofu, whatever. And then the king ate, and then the king was very happy. The king left, and then this minister asked this sage, in whose home the king had come, that okay, so I am taking back my cooks which I had sent. He said, yeah, 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 you can take them back. He said, but only thing is, whenever whenever you think to call the king again to eat, please let me know. I will send them back. Then the priest said, but I don't know. I can call him anytime. No? Now he's my friend. He's not a king. He's just my friend. I will send somebody and tell him that, oh, hey, your friend wants to meet. Then he can come any moment. And then this minister thought, yes. So that means I have to keep the cooks here only. all the time, 24 by 7, 365 days a year. Anytime the king may come, or the king may come himself. He may feel, let me go and meet my friend. Then what? So the cooks stayed all time with him, and his house was fully fortified, and there were guards, and he had a lot of riches. So the sage became very happy. He became very prosperous, very wealthy. Instead of going to the king, and if he would have asked like the other people, okay, give me this, give me that, now he has become as great as the king. You see, he may not be as great as the king, but he became much more powerful. Whatever he said, the king would do, because he was a Brahmin. His advice was always considered, and more than that, he was a friend of the king. The king considered him a very good friend, because the king felt obliged, because nobody asked him. Everybody asked his riches. Yes. So instead of going to God and asking his resources, if we ask him only that I want you, I don't want your resources, I don't want your money, I don't want a high birth in a family in my next life, I don't want to become this, I don't want to become that, but I just want you, then God will give himself to us. Then we will become happy internally. So that is the ultimate dharma of a living entity. Living entity means a soul, a conscious being who is there. For example, a laptop is not conscious because there is no soul there. A living being is not residing there. But in the body, the soul is residing, which is who you. People say that there is the body has a spiritual journey. No, the body does not have a spiritual journey. It is the spirit soul who has a materialistic journey. Because you are a spirit, you are living in this body for some temporary time due to some karma, or due to your desire to enjoy or whatever. And then once the karma ends, you will die and you will pass to some other body. Yes, there's the concept of rebirth, birth after death, all this comes. We will not go into that, we will discuss about it later. But the agenda here is to indicate what is the highest dharma of a person, apart from all the mundane dharmas which he has. For example, mundane way, he may be a wife, or sorry, he may be a husband, or she may be a wife. He or she may be a judge in the court. So it is their dharma, it's their duty to give right judgments and punish the defaulters, criminals. So these are different dharmas people have, duties on a mundane level. Highest level of dharma is to go close to God, not to gain riches or wealth or prosperity, to gain Him only. Only that will give us satisfaction. Till the time you are running after materialistic objects, it will not give you happiness. We will discuss about that later. But as of now, I am saying here, what is the ultimate dharma of a living entity? Either you are a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu, it doesn't matter. Okay, so now, what is the first house? First house, as I said, it is a Kendra. It is your body, you, yourself, what you think, what you do. Now it is also a Trikona. Why it is also a Trikona? Because it is you who have to go close to God, na? It is all about you. Who will go close to God? It is you, na? So one has to be there in the Trikona. If first house would have not been a Trikona, it would have only been a Kendra, then everybody in this world would be atheists. Because then they would think only of themselves, na? They would not think of God. Because first house is one of the Kendras. 4, 7, 10 have nothing to do with God. Of course, fourth house has, we will discuss that later, how it has, why it has. Seventh house also has, but on a general sense, I am saying, on a mundane sense, it doesn't have these three houses. They have no connection to God. Fourth house, seventh house, 10th house. But the first house has. Because it is you, you are the person. So you can decide to go to materialism, away from God, or you can decide to go to spirituality. So you have both the choice. And what it means that because kendras are holded by the trikonas, if you go towards spirituality, your kendra aspect of the first house will also increase. So you will also become strong inside as a person, as an individual. People will recognize you. He's a man of principles, values. Okay. So the kendra aspect of the first house is also taken care. If you take care of the trikona, the dharma trikona aspect of the first house. And on a technical sense, first house represents your present, this life. So what the fifth house represents is your past life deeds. And what is the ninth house? Ninth house represents your next life. How is it going to be? What you will do? Okay, is the future. So past, present, future. Fifth, first, ninth. Okay. And what is fifth house? Fifth house is all those good things which we carry from our past lives. That is why it is the house of goodness. It is the house of creativity, talents, okay, abilities. Uh, it is the house of children. It is our ability to love. That is why it is also the house of love romance. It is not actually the house of love romance, but it is our ability to love something. You understand? It is the ability to love something and be loved by others. Being lovable or being good, that is the fifth house. Now, where does goodness come from? Goodness actually comes from God because He is the source of all goodness. It does not come from mundane objects, from dead mundane objects, because the mundane objects are dead. And the world you see around is very selfish. Everybody is only thinking of themselves, but still, how is there so much goodness? Because our ancestors have passed it to us because they were highly connected to God. Now we have forgot the connection. So that is why goodness is also reduced in this world. People are not happy. People willingly also they cannot help others because they don't have money, they don't have resources, they don't have this, they don't have that. Even if they want to help, they can't help. Of course, if they want, they can do. When there's a will, there's a way. But on a general sense, I'm saying sometimes you might want to help somebody, but you may not want to help them because you are stuck up in some problem. That is the symptom of trouble in this age, Kali Yuga. We will go and discuss about Kali Yuga later. What is Kali Yuga? What are its effects? Why it is called Kali Yuga, etc. But this day and age that we are living in today is called Kali Yuga. So it is also the fifth house is also the house of children. It is also the house of buddhi, intelligence. Buddhi's intelligence is what? It is blessing actually of God. Because dead matter doesn't have any intelligence. Your mobile has no intelligence. Your car has no intelligence. Of course, we are not talking of artificial intelligence here, we are talking of human intelligence. Unless the person goes and starts kicks off the car, it will not move. Now you may say, okay, there may be a robot, but who is switching the robot? It is a human being has to be there, right? Without it, it cannot function. The mobile has to be switched on. Automatically, it cannot get switched on. Even if you apply some software by which it gets on at 4 o'clock, who is operating the software? It's you, my dear sir. Without you, it can't happen. You have to kick the start, otherwise, it will not happen. Either ways, you go by artificial intelligence, machine learning, or however you go, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you are the person who is starting a living being. So, that is why fifth house becomes very important here. It is the source of intelligence which comes from spirit, okay, which comes from God actually. Our ability to discriminate what is right, wrong. Okay, as I said, it is also the house of goodness and love. All the love and care of this world is seen. Mother's love, father's love, a boy's love for a girl also. Of course, when we talk of the love of a boy and a girl, here we are talking of the purest form of love. It is not the physical attraction which people have, most of the couples. Of course, we will discuss about that later. But as of now, I am saying purest form of love. Yes. Love between friends, that everything, all sorts of love is the fifth house. So who can love? Who is actually connected to God more? Because then he will know everybody is a part and parcel of God. I should love everybody, not only my son or my wife or my mother, father. I should love the entire universe. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the whole world is a family under one shelter. This is what the Vedic scriptures talk about. The whole world is your family. It is not only the people who are staying with you in the four walls. And that is why it is also the house of children. That is why they say, na, children are a blessing of God. Now, to what degree that blessing will work or not, that depends on your karma. If you had done good deeds, your children will be good, great. By them, you will get name fame. If your deeds are not that great, well then you are in trouble. Whatever activities spiritually you did in your past life will manifest in the fifth house. Also, it is the house of creativity. Why is children the house? Why is fifth house the house of children? Because you create your children. Yes, fifth house is also creativity. What you create, something magical, something unique, something distinct, something very melodious you sing, some heart touching painting you draw, poetry. Yes, all these things are seen from the fifth house. So the origin of all this is God. That is why it comes under Trikona. Now, what you use this for is up to you. That will go to the Kendras. Yes. So that means if you want to become more lovable, if you want to become more creative, if you want to become more happy, and by the way, it is also the house of happiness. People say it is fourth house, but fifth house equally. If you want to become more intelligent, more sharp, okay, you have to go to God. Otherwise, you may lose it all suddenly. We have examples of people, right? Who we say, how can this person do this? Well, because he's not deep rooted in the Trikona. That is why his knowledge has gone to some other area. And it is also the house of ancient scriptures, books, literatures, philosophy. Okay. So we have to read the scriptures. It is also the house of abhyas, practice. When you read the scriptures, you read the Gita, you read the Quran 100,000 times, million times, then you will understand what God is trying to say. If you just put it in the corner and give dialogues, these books are not for today. My dear sir, it's not going to work like that. It never has worked, neither will it work, neither should it work. How many times does a person who is running for Olympics, how much does he practice? 1 day, 2 day, 3 day? No. Hundreds of days and thousands of days and years and decades he practices from the childhood. Then he becomes eligible to run in the race. Huh? It is not an overnight affair, sir. So if a mundane activity like running in a race is not a 1 day affair, how can you think that obtaining God is a 1 day affair, sir? It requires consistency, it requires perseverance, it requires determination, faith, willpower, strength, and association of like minded people who are also trying to go to God. That is why this house becomes very important. because it is the house of scriptures. By reading the scriptures, you will understand who God is, what He wants us to do. Yes, whichever religion it is. All religious, traditional, scriptural books are seen from the fifth house. It is also the house of mantra. Mantra is what? Manatrayati mantra. One which delivers the mind. Chants. Chanting of the holy name of God. In every tradition it is there. Either it's the rosary beads of the Christians or it is the Rudraksh mala of the Hindus. When you chant the names of God, you connect to a divine power. Na? Mantra is fifth house because that has to do with the mind. Fourth house is the house of your mind. Second house is gain of anything. So gain of your mind. Second from the fourth is the fifth house. Gain of your mind is mantra. So when you do mantra, you gain the fourth house. You gain internal peace. It's a Sanskrit word. English translation is chanting. You chant the holy names of God. There are different mantras. We'll discuss about those later. But if you want to gain mental happiness, you have to be in the fifth house. Otherwise, if you keep delighting in mundane luxuries of the fourth house, one day you will become miserable. How much can you enjoy? Not beyond a certain limit. Yes. So fifth house becomes very important. And it's also the house of love. That is why you see great saints, sages, they are so selfless. They love everybody. Yes, the popes of Christian tradition, the great saints, Saint Francis, one of my favorite. They loved everybody. We will discuss about the saints later. Okay, Christianity has so many great saints. Along with that, that is why it is the house of love also. Because your ability to love, your ability to feel for others increases. Instead of just feeling for one person in your home, it becomes diversified. Okay. So then this house becomes very important. And then which is the third and the most powerful, most auspicious of the Trikonas? It is the ninth house, which is the official house of God, spirituality, religion, philosophy, your gurus, your guides, your counselors, your mentors, your seniors. Okay. So ninth house is the crest jewel of the horoscope. It is the place where you should be, and it is the higher octave of the fifth house. What do I mean by higher octave? It means double, triple powerful than the fifth house. Because if you separate the ninth house from the fifth house also becomes a mundane house. Fifth house is what? Love. We see boys and girls loving each other. So that is the fifth house love. Okay. It is not the love combined with the ninth house. Because if there would be so much love, I mean, there would never be any affairs or any breaks in relationships. Yes. The love has to be combined with higher maturity, with God. God has to be in the center of the relationship. Otherwise, it may not sustain. Even if it sustains, even if you are happy for some time, it will ultimately give you frustration one day. There are so many extramarital affairs these days. Well, if there is so much love, then how can there be an affair? That's contradictory. People say that it happens sometimes, but no, sir, it cannot happen. Two things cannot go simultaneously. That means you are not in the ninth house, you are only in the fifth house. It is the house of creativity, the fifth house. There are so many creative people, but they also commit suicide. Why? It is the house of cinema also. We will see why it is the house of cinema later. No, but without the ninth house, without God and spirituality, if you are in the fifth house, you will suffer a very terrible fate. Because then what will happen? You will search for love everywhere in this world, in mundane objects. And when I say objects, it also means people. A boy is searching for love in a girl is searching for love in a boy. A mother will search love from the children. Now, these things are there. It is okay to love people. It's not a sin. I also love people. People also love me. But that cannot be the goal of our life. Do you understand what I mean? That cannot be the sole agenda. That has to be a part of our life. The ninth house is the most prominent house. Our focus on God and spirituality, that has to be of paramount importance. Then the fifth house will automatically run. That is why you see spiritually elevated people, they are very good with everybody. Have you seen? Naturally, you will see. We have the great example of Dalai Lama. He gets along with everybody. He has no ego problem, no problem. He doesn't read all these books on relationships, how to develop charisma, how to be accommodating, all these literatures that have spread the world. Oh, how to like people in 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 90 seconds. You don't have to read all this when you are with God. You do not need any other book when you are in the ninth house. It becomes natural. Fifth house becomes very natural for you to love other people. Because as I said, without the fifth and the ninth, the Kendra is not very powerful. So suppose you are there, you are on your home, you are with your wife and you are working. But suppose there is no love inside you. Then even if the other things are there, the Kendra is strong, but you will not be happy inside now. And when your fifth house will be strong, when the ninth house is strong, because Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the holy book of the Hindus, there are 26 qualities of a devotee. Devotee is a worshipper of God, which manifests in anyone who is close to God or who is trying to go close to God. What are those 26 qualities? All the good qualities, divine, virtuous qualities, truthfulness, humility, compassion, okay, tolerance, perseverance, mercy, gravity, silence. There are different qualities. We will discuss about them later. But these manifest in a devotee or in a person who is desiring to go close to God. The Srimad Bhagavatam, another very prominent scripture of the Hindu tradition or the Vedic tradition, it says, Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena asati dhavato bahi. That if a person is not a follower of God, his good qualities are of not much use. Yes? Sarvair gunais tatra samasate sudaha. All the divine qualities of the higher celestial beings manifest in a person who is following the path of God. Then your fifth house is strong, then your Kendra is strong, and then who ultimately becomes strong? It is you, the first house. Ultimately, everything boils down to the Lagna. It's very simple, no complexity on that. And then you will have wisdom, you will be broad minded. Yes. Why do people fail in relationships today? Because they are not broad minded, they cannot accept the faults of the other person. They want the other person to behave the way they want them to. Well, if that is the case, then how is it love? Because love means to give freedom to the other person to behave the way he wants. If you love somebody, you have to give them the freedom not to love you also. Yes. How can you force a person to love you? How can you force a person to change? Of course, you can try to improve them as a partner, that is your duty, but you cannot force it. Yes, they have to do it voluntarily themselves. Until that time, you need tremendous tolerance, acceptance, etc. and which is the planet of acceptance. It is Jupiter, which is the ruler of the ninth house in the natural zodiac, in the Kal Purush chart, because it rules the sign of Sagittarius, which is the number 9. And even in numerology, if you take 9 and then you go next, it is 10. 10 becomes 1 plus 0, it's 1. So there's nothing after 9 actually. Of course, there are things, but I'm saying in this sense. Yes, you understand what I mean. It is the ultimate, it is the pinnacle of your life, following the injunctions of the scriptures, going to a guru, going to a teacher and learning from them. We cannot do it ourselves, it is not possible. Many have tried, they have landed others and themselves also in trouble. Of course, we'll discuss that later, why we need to go to a guru and so, etc. But you understand what I'm saying. The agenda of this lecture is to explain what is Trikon, Dharma Trikon basically. So 159, ninth house is the most important, and it is connected to the fifth and the Lagna. And Lagna is the end of it all, is the beginning and the end. Okay, so I hope I could give a clear view. We will discuss about spirituality, why it is important, what the Gita says, etc. later, but this is just an overall view of why it is called Dharma Trikona and what is its importance. Okay, and if you like this video, then please like it and rate or comment or subscribe to my channel if you wish. Okay, until next time, I wish great luck to everybody. Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.